Stubbornness versus non-negotiables. How often have you found yourself getting in your own way, as my wife Lauren often calls it, because you had your mind so set on something and reality itself isn't presenting itself, and so you get angry, you get frustrated, you start blaming other people? Or how often do you end up blaming your astrological sign on something, or the latest personality profile assessment you took in a magazine or with another coaching program, and saying, well, that's just the way I am. And so when reality again presents itself, you hit yourself in the head. Or how often have you stayed in a relationship or in a job because you are committed to going, I'm going to make this work, I'm going to figure it out. Or you might be making statements like loyalty above all. And I'm not against any of those things. But how often have you found yourself in those situations? I'll tell 2 stories of my own. When I was younger, I took an assessment that said I was an empath. And I feel more than the average person, which probably is true. But it also said, you're not good at conflict. You're not good at confrontation. Avoid conflict. Avoid confrontation. And then there's another scenario in my life where I said, because I used to work in theater and entertainment and the management side, I said, if it's not a stage, I'm not going to pursue it. I work in theater. I work in theater. And again, not the worst things in the world to have these self-awarenesses, but what ended up happening is that was me being stubborn, utterly stubborn. It doesn't mean that I was willing to give up on a dream, but I was being totally stubborn. And I'll explain why in a moment. And that stubbornness cost me a lot of really neat opportunities, a massive amount of money, and fulfillment where the levels I didn't even know existed in the first place. And so while I was being stubborn, be like, I'm not good at conflict, I can't be in jobs with conflict, or I won't change, I won't do that over there because that's not a stage, that's not a theater, that's not a Broadway tour. And what ended up happening is I was blaming other people for my unhappiness, for my unfulfillment. I was blaming myself quite often, saying, what's wrong with me? And so I felt stuck. I felt totally stuck. So I want to ask you to go into the past. And if you were to go to a past reflection, like something in your life of the past, where is there a story in your own life that because you were being stubborn, you got yourself stuck? Maybe you got stuck in massive darkness and rumination and emotions, or maybe you got yourself stuck in a relationship and job that was way past its expiration date. Now, here's my question for you, since this is a situation from the past. If you caught that you were being stubborn faster, what would have changed? Would have you moved through it faster? Would have you found fulfillment faster? Would have you learned about yourself faster? So here's a solution when we are being stubborn, and the solution to figuring out, well, am I being stubborn to begin with? Because we all do it. We're human beings. We love our homeostasis. We love, this is the way we know life. And so that's just our protective mechanism. That's the voice up here going, hey, we know that. This is the way we approach the world. This is what an authority figure in our life, mom, dad, or a first boss told us this is the way it is. And, so here's the way to figure out, am I being stubborn? It's so simple. It's so simple that, oh my goodness, I wish someone else asked me it earlier in life. Ask yourself this one simple question. What is my non-negotiable? What is my non-negotiable? That's it. And I'll give an example with those 2 scenarios I gave before. With me being in leadership and management roles, if I said, what's my non-negotiable? I would have said, my non-negotiable is that I speak the truth no matter what. My non-negotiable is that I help people become the best version of themselves. And so even though I read an assessment that said, hey, I'm super sensitive, I could have moved faster beyond it, because I would have actually said, no, I don't do confrontation. I believed I was being stubborn. I don't do confrontation. I don't shake the snow globe. And so by actually approaching the individuals and going, I'm going to speak my truth, even if this is a little uncomfortable and I feel it a lot, I did it. And I built the habit of being able to not just be submissive to the empathicness and all the feelings. And for the on-stage thing, I actually had to say to myself when another opportunity came, what's my real non-negotiable? And my real non-negotiable is I want to help lots of people feel free and fulfilled. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I could do that here too. And that doesn't mean I'm giving up on the dream. because I'm actually doing the dream, which is helping people be the best version of themselves and really find fulfillment. And the byproduct of actually asking the question, what's my non-negotiable, is right now I'm a coach here with you, and I coach so many incredible people on a regular basis from all walks of life, and I conflict and confrontation and disagreement all the time now with ease. I love it. I love life. And I'll probably even end up, not probably, I plan on re-entering entertainment again as well. So it's not like I even gave up on it. So what happens is the byproduct when you go, what's my non-negotiable? Even if it's hard, you go, look, no matter what, I always do this, or I will not tolerate this. Because you get what you tolerate, right? And so you make decisions faster, and they're cleaner, and they're even guilt-free. It doesn't mean you're going to be, oh, I'm so happy that I'm in this situation, that I left that job or I left this relationship. You just go, oh, I'm clear. Doesn't mean you're going to be happy, but you're clear. And I love what Brene Brown says, clear is kind, and kind is clear. So I want to give two other examples of stubbornness versus non-negotiable. I had a friend who said, I will only date, who's dating right now and out on the apps dating, and all the more power to them. That's where I met Lauren, my wife, so I'm all for it. But in dating, they said, you know, I want to meet someone who wants children. They must want children on their profile. And when I said, well, is having a child actually a non-negotiable? Like, must you have it? They said, you know, I want it, but I don't need it if I met the right person. So they took that filter off, and they found the partner of their dreams, you know, so like, because they said, oh, it's not a non-negotiable. And in the professional world, I was coaching a high-end executive at a very sustainable company that's very large and had a wonderful paycheck, and he was very torn with what to do. And he kept hitting up against the work he was in, and he was blaming other people. And I said, well, what's your non-negotiable? He goes, well, my non-negotiable is I want to work in new companies that are solving problems that really are meaningful in other people's lives. I said, well, is that something that you can get from the current job? And he said, no. I said, so you're in a non-negotiable. That's why you're angry. He changed his job. He risked it all. And of course, now he's happy in the world that he went to. And so to be able to recognize the difference between when you're being stubborn, I'm going to make it work, versus, no, that's a non-negotiable. You want that, I want this, and what I want is a non-negotiable. And that's okay, because we all have our non-negotiables. Everybody does, and everyone's non-negotiables are different. So I want you to think of the past scenario I asked you at the beginning of this blog of where was a situation that you were stuck for a really long period of time because of stubbornness, that if you really looked back and asked yourself in that moment, what's my true non-negotiable? What would be different about the world right now? What would be different about your life right now? Or what would have happened to that scenario? Would have you moved through it faster? I'd love it for you to reply to this video, Michael at thelegacyofyou.com, and tell me your scenario. And I want you to ask yourself one more question right now. What's the situation you're in right now where you feel stuck? Like you're like, I'm stuck, I'm angry all the time about this. What's your true non-negotiable? Because your non-negotiable is going to supersede any of your astrological signs out there or any value instilled inside of you that wasn't your value to begin with. It'll supersede any personality preference profile that you read about yourself. And don't get me wrong, I love personality assessments. I use them all the time in coaching. But they're a starting point to be able to go, okay, I know that's going to be tough for me. I know that's going to be a challenge for me, but that's a non-negotiable. So I'm going to lean into it. So always ask yourself, what's the non-negotiable? Because you deserve to be at peace in your life. And when you can spot the difference between when you're being stubborn, this is the way things are and they will be, and what a non-negotiable is, these are my boundaries, and I will honor what I value most. You'll be living life on your terms. And there is a place to always find gratitude. Wow, I said no to that. Wow, I spotted that was a non-negotiable. Wow, I spotted I was being stubborn because that's not a non-negotiable. So maybe there's something else to come up to. And gratitude is, what do I have right now? Is this a non-negotiable? Or is this just me wanting something and me being a little brat? I wish you the best. I look forward to hearing your thoughts about this blog entry.